It's February the 8th, 2025. I'm Chris, and this is the future of photography.
The future of photography.
And here we are, back with everyone on the line. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Let me resize myself here for the video.
See?
Yeah, you're the one with the spiffy glasses. You're looking through glasses.
Since our theme today is shooting through things, looking through things, layering things, I thought, appropriate. Plus,
so
had a lot of wine last night, so
and that's okay.
Serves
that
two
explains.
purposes.
That explains. So shooting through things can help you. Can be difficult. Shooting through windows can be a problem if you have to fight reflections and so on. There's tools to help you do that, or a black jacket over the camera or something.
I have something very, very interesting for shooting through windows, which is, it looks like a funnel that fits on.
Oh yeah,
you just
the ultimate lens hood. I know the rubbery thing looks like a toilet plunger or something.
Exactly, and you just use. It's quite big. I mean, it's probably about 8 inches, and you just slide it onto the thing, hold it onto your window, and there you go.
I've always wanted one of those. I never got one.
When's your birthday? When's your birthday?
They come in two sizes, by the way. They have a pocket size for smartphones and small cameras, and then a big one that's like
cool.
Like
how
the size
do they
of
work
your hand
with
or
double
bigger.
glazing, right? Because a lot of so some of the shooting through things, right? One of the great things if you travel is to shoot through your hotel bedroom window, right? Because you might be on the 40th story with a view of the city or whatever it is.
I've had
but you
that
get
in the
so
past,
much bounce back from that second pane of glass because of the double glazing. Do those things work properly through double glazing?
It turned off all the lights in the room. That's the first thing. Make sure there's no television or anything. Cover yourself in a blanket or a dark jacket or something. That will typically be good enough. Good enough.
I thought that one of the kind of good provocative issues about shooting through things is really sometimes we get into like a writer's block or a shooting block about nothing seems fresh and
that's the other side of the coin. The first one is it problematic? Does it bother us? Do we want to cut out reflections and stuff? Or the other one is let's use
embrace
it as a creative tool. But the first thing that comes to my mind is just shooting through another object in terms of a hole in an object or the space between two buildings or something to frame something, right? You have additional stuff in the picture that's not your subject, but that will act as a visual element to, give your subject a better space to sit in, for example.
Yeah, and I like the natural world of here's an incoming.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Anyway, the natural world of screen doors, dirty glass,
chain link fences.
Reflections.
Good example. You have depth in the photo. You have an out of focus chain link fence in the front that gives that helps you. That adds context to the picture. That gives you another layer of information where you are, and so on.
Yeah, and then I it's worth talking about Russian lenses. In other words, optically questionable glass, which is really exciting. I think I have a nice little mini collection of Russian lenses that I adapted for Lumix.
Helios 44.
Yes, I have one of those. And
very, very popular at the moment.
Yes.
By the way, the prices have gone way up. I mean, I picked up my lenses. I think the highest I paid for $25 per lens. I mean, very, very little. Probably spent more on the adapter than I did on the glass. But it's a lot of fun to kind of embrace the imperfections, go without the coatings. We're so obsessed with clarity, pixel count, sharpness, contrast, all of that stuff. And to work, again, this picture, it's weird, it's fuzzy. I guess I didn't render it properly, but that's a Russian lens. That's a Russian lens.
I did something similar earlier on when you suggested the topic. I was like, okay, let me just spend some time and walk around the house and see what I can find to shoot through. And I ended up with a bunch of photos like this close up. I'll show you in a minute what these have been shot with. By the way, these are all smartphone photos. All come from my phone. This more abstract thing, another more abstract thing, a self-portrait through a very
That one's
weird
quite cool. I like that one. How did you do that one?
Look good in that.
I'll for a change. I'll show you. I'll show you in a second. Here, the aliens are coming in the morning to fetch you. And these are the objects I shot through, and we see a water glass, a weird one. The one on the right top is one of those Russian lenses, so that I just held that in front of the smartphone.
I was gonna say, actually, one of the things I've done enjoyed in the past is free lensing. I think they call that, don't they? Where it's not, the lens isn't attached to the camera.
Right.
Always good if you need to make a macro shot in a hurry, right? And you haven't got a macro lens. Just take the lens off your camera, turn it the other way around, and it works a treat. Yeah.
Here, a coffee filter holder works really well to just that's the selfie one. That's the one I took the selfie with. A magnifying glass. That's a film loop, but it's just a magnifying glass. And the last one is a battery holder. That's slightly translucent. That's what the alien photo was taken through. So,
okay,
just cool. Simple stuff you hold in front of your lens, and you know,
it's funny. There's a glass company. You know, people buy windows and all kinds of things. Not far from us on one of the main streets, and I went in there, and they just. He had a bunch of like little samples of like pebbled glass and striped glass and frosted glass. And so I picked up a bunch of them. It didn't charge me very much. And it just changed the whole optical framework of shooting. It's a lot of fun.
What I find interesting doing these kind of experiments is that especially, let's say over the last 10 years maybe, where many people shoot with smartphones, and smartphones do a gazillion things to make your photos in focus, sharp, no camera shake, well exposed. So you end up with really good photos, which initially when I started using smartphones more, it was like, wow, cool. I don't have to have as much skill anymore. I can shoot and get good photos out of it, technically good photos, but it totally takes away the experimentation. It takes away a lot of the serendipity of the happy accidents. And
Chris, now you need all the technique to reverse that.
Well, the thing is, when I shot these pictures earlier, I had to work against the phone because the phone was still trying to do it right. And one thing the phone does is it switches lenses. You have several cameras on your phone, and it takes the one that works best. And if one is obstructed, as in you hold something weird in front of it, it will switch to a different lens. It will try to work around you. So in that case, I had to switch to a different camera app doesn't do that. The onboard iPhone camera app is trying to outsmart you in these cases and winning. Well, no, it's not winning because I turned it off and I used a different app. But it was one of those cases where the tool made it more difficult for me to experiment. And
totally with you on that one. We should do one of those "What's in my camera bag" shows, and then in my camera bag will be like a makeup compact mirror and a bit of sweet wrapping, a bit of cellophane from a boiled sweet, and just a bog standard flashlight with a tiny harsh light, and all of those sorts of things. All the things that.
But if you look around your house, I have a glass of water here, and this everything. Let me show you this glass just as an example. This one has dimples in it.
Oh yeah, I got one with diamond cut, a diamond cut one.
I'm pretty sure shooting through those dimples will give me some weird. Yeah, there we go. Will give us some weird. This was not even prepared, right? There you go. I know this cube. Yeah, the colored one. So, just looking around at things that you could reflect stuff in, like a mirror or This is one pristine example, the very classic example. You have a window and it's wet because it's been raining, and just the distortion that gives you, and you can try different focal lengths, get closer, get further away, focus on the window or focus through the window on what's behind it. It's just...
Yeah, also, we haven't really talked a lot about it, but just throwing your camera out of focus also is something. This is shot from a hotel. Mm-hmm. I think this is Bangkok. Throwing
your camera out of focus, if it allows you to do that. So again, it might help to use a different app.
Yeah, this was a proper camera, but the mood, the mood changes as you kind of are selective about your focus, whether you're trying to abstract something or not. I think I've talked about this before, but about 10 years ago, I did a series of photographs where I tried to recreate my myopic vision without glasses. And it was challenging because at that time I had a much stronger prescription than I do now, since I've had my eyes corrected. I have new lenses in there. But at the time, to get it absolutely, like to match the defocus from what I was seeing, and finally I got the system right. And it was a very interesting process of kind of showing what I really do see without glasses. Like, that is my reality. This is on a train in Japan. Again, it was rainy day.
Same theme, rain on a window.
I'm very... I like that a lot. Hats off to Todd Hito, who I talked about last week.
Isn't it interesting? Because that is not just a visual thing. It also has a layer of meaning to it, because it is being used in popular culture to depict sadness. So whenever you see rain on a window, shot through the window, something's out of focus on the other side. You see the drops of rain run down. You start hearing sad music playing in the back of your head, and something weird.
Though I just would like to say that currently, rain on a window in California
is a good thing. Yes,
it's a good thing.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, fair enough.
Absolutely,
it's extremely happy until the rain starts to increase.
So you should play like yakety sax with that kind of a picture.
Traditionally, it's Ervo Pärt, right? That's the really, really sad music.
Maybe somewhere between those two. Let's treat those as opposite ends of a spectrum of appropriate music for these kinds of shots. Yeah, it's like something maybe in between.
But it does add a meaning. The visual distortion, reflections, things, they add a meaning, and that meaning is very, very cultural.
They're generally emotionally attached. I mean, generally it's
definitely
emotional rather than
definitely.
cerebral.
Music is really important to match with an environment. So if I wake up on a sunny day, right? It doesn't happen very often in this country, but if I wake up on a sunny day, I want like loud, bright music. And years and years ago, literally, as a student, I think I remember noticing for the first time the way that you could match music to a situation, and I could probably even name you one of the songs. It was a sunny day. And there's a track by Jane's Addiction called Idiot's Rule. It's got lots and lots of trumpet. Flea from the Chili Peppers plays the trumpet on it. And I put that on, and I'm literally buzzing, right? You're probably, as a student, dancing around my room as I was getting ready to do whatever I was doing for the day. And I remember thinking, wow, that's incredible. And then, it hits me every now and again. For a time, I worked in Bristol, a city in the west of the UK, which is famous for its trip-hop music scene. So... let's see, Tricky and Massive Attack and Portishead and, all those, a lot of trip hop stuff came out of Bristol. And if you drive around Bristol at night, like midnight, and you listen to trip hop, it feels right Yeah, it feels right. You can get almost the same situation in southwest London, but there's always a little bit of me niggling as I'm driving through, I don't know, Battersea or somewhere like that in the dead of night, that actually I should be listening to this music in Bristol rather than in Battersea. But Battersea's changed a lot since then anyway. It's quite smart now. But But I don't know. Do you guys get that? And I know this is a slight tangent, only a teeny weeny tangent from shooting through windows, but like
cultural relevance. I have the exact same thing when driving. When driving in California, I have to put Steely Dan on.
Oh, sure.
It's my car driving music in California.
And that is so California, even to Californians.
Yes.
A shout out to those who have Netflix. I've recently seen a documentary, if we're talking about this, called Yacht Rock.
Oh, I heard about this.
I cannot recommend this movie enough. It is so good, and it is so mind-blowing.
Wasn't there something controversial about that? I heard things that some musicians, especially Steely Dan or Steely Dan fans, were not happy about it.
Steely Dan didn't want to participate.
Oh, they didn't want to participate. That was it. Yeah.
Right. But their influence is throughout, and Michael McDonald is everywhere in this. It's what's amazing about it, and even though we're a photography podcast, we'll take a little sidebar here. The amount of cross-pollination of all the musicians in this era, which is now deemed yacht rock, and the influence on hip hop and those guys, which you wouldn't really think, but the appreciation of hip hop artists to that is just watch this documentary. It's so well done. It's so entertaining. It's addictive. You don't want it to end, and highly recommend it. Anyway, back to photography. One thing that I couldn't find an example quickly is using UV filters sandwiched together with things inside it. Like if you have a nice, that kind of pearlescent cellophane that you stick between two filters and use that as a, quote, permanent filter. I played with fiberglass, the actual strands of glass sandwiched between two UV filters, and it's just magical because it's actually glass. So you get glinting highlights.
You can put a developed slide in there and shoot through other photographs that will not show up sharp because they're out of focus, and that will add some information. You have an example here where you shot through glass, and that adds this entire new level of information because you see what's going on behind the photographer. So this is a series I did of bars shot through the actual bar windows, and this image, which was done, I have a sister of this right beside me. The print is maybe 70 by 50. I mean, it's really big. And the impact of it when you look at it, it looks like you're looking right into a window. I've never exhibited these because they're just so big and heavy and cumbersome, and I don't have enough for an exhibition. But I was very, very fascinated by this, especially finding the right level of darkness and light. These are very minimal manipulation in them. They're almost as photographed, maybe slightly warmed, but not overly so. Right.
But that's just something that it appeals to me for a lot of reasons. There's the softness, the impressionist aspect of it. Could be if you said this was a neorealistic painting, you could almost believe it. There's a painterly quality that the glass kind of diffuses the reality and also layers it up, and it, the depth starts to get a little confused, which I think is great. So
really interesting. I always find photos like this sad as well because it's even worse than having to look through a rainy window. Is you're trapped outside the bar and all the people inside the bar are having fun and you just want to go in. So I always find these kind of photos sad.
Is it more sad when it's a photo of a bar, or is it like as opposed to something else,
totally.
like a church or something.
No. Don't get sad if I'm stuck outside a church. No.
or a gym.
Or a gym.
Certainly don't get stuck as
So
sad
bar,
about
bar
that.
is the trigger word here.
That's the trigger
yes,
for me,
yeah.
definitely. Hey, listen, I am who I am, right? Yeah. So,
Also, you've stuck puddles in here, but water is also really, really interesting to shoot through or reflect off of, shooting through a glass of water with a little dye in it, shooting through a fish tank that is roiled in a way is very interesting for objects. I've done that as well.
Or what you're wearing on your face right now. You're wearing a pair of colored glasses,
Yeah.
bluish glasses. So
They're sad. They're not rose-colored.
they're not rose colored. You don't need those. But that's something you can, especially with the small lenses on smartphones, easy to stick that behind one of those.
I do that, especially with if I'm out without a polarizer, and I could really do with a bit of polarizer on this shot. I know, I'll just take off my sunglasses and shoot through those.
I did this when like one summer, the outside, the sky was amazing with all those clouds, and they had so much depth and so much detail to them. And I took a photo of that, and it turned out blown out and didn't look nice. And then I realized, oh, wait, I'm wearing sunglasses. So let me put those in front of the camera, and that totally worked. So
it's a really good one.
Drama.
Yeah. Yes, I mean you are in the end, depending on which what the lenses are you have in your sunglasses, you're into very creative territory at that point. You kind of want some lightly tinted ones, with an even tint. But hey, it'd be fun whatever way, right?
Well, in a way, we're talking, about how to use cameras in ways that they are not really designed for. Like we've spent time talking about slow shutters, moving the camera as you're photographing. This is in that same school of just trying to look at the world in a fresh way using everyday objects, and everyday objects like Russian lenses.
Well,
you're
right though. I'm sure I've told you guys the story before of some years and years ago. We were sat in a cafe somewhere as a family, and I gave my son the camera, just a little camera, and he decided to take a video of the inside of the packet of crisps that he was eating. Yeah. Right, because he was attracted by the way the light bounced around because there's a foil on the inside of this, and stuff like that. So, the creativity of that was amazing, and that image of him doing that has stuck with me. I know at least 10 years since
because he really paid attention to that. Yeah. He really saw it and wanted to capture it. And I think that's really what we're saying is that sometimes we look at a landscape and see an everyday landscape that we traverse daily. But Chris, you go through your walks, weekly with your famous tree there, and
it's famous now.
I did. I would walk the canals here, and every time I would go, I'd try to do it in a different way. I'd take different objects. I'd take a pinhole. I'd take my Hasselblad, sometimes even my 4x5, and try to capture the same thing, looking at it in a different way. And it's there's an infinity of possibilities to see the world. I think that's what we're saying. It's not that the world is the same or mundane. It's our approach to seeing it is always changing and fresh.
And it links in with something else I just realized. We're seeing a resurgence in especially young people picking up older point-and-shoot cameras, digital point-and-shoot cameras from the 2000s. There's like eBay is almost swept empty, or these things are getting really expensive used ones. We're now seeing that same generation starting to get into camcorders of all things. Good. We have 4K,
I'm
8K
this close
cameras
to buying
in
a
our pockets.
camcorder. I've been this close to buying a camcorder for months.
And there are several reasons. One is certainly some nostalgia. They grew up with this, or their parents had these things, or maybe they are even getting into film because that is something that shows the world in a different way. But one thing that links these things is that it takes a lot of the clinical perfection out of things. We see a lot of, as I said earlier, you pick up your smartphone, it's really hard to take a technically bad photo. And these things shooting through something, an object glass or something like a coffee filter or something, that adds a lot of amazing unpredictability to a photo. And
the fingerprints on the object of our affection in terms of a photograph is what gives it the humanity. In Islamic culture, when the rugs are woven absolutely beautiful, I've been doing it for thousands of years, they will always put in a flaw, because according to Islamic culture, only Allah is perfect. So we as humans will put imperfection to remind us of our humanity. And I think that's the attraction to that off. I mean, it's the same thing with vinyl recording, 4-track recording, that kind of thing. We see this kind of growing, even though, currently I'm kind of obsessed with Logic, so I've been learning Logic, and it's
as in the audio,
as in the audio, yeah. No, not in real life. I'm completely illogical.
I was just wondering how logical are you? No, okay, keep going.
Logical. but it's with these kind of quantizing elements, it's very easy to be exactly on a beat, and you have to work against being on the beat to give it that kind of, I would call it a rough edge, a jazzy edge, a more human response to the beat. All of those are really, really fun now because we can create what appears to be perfection in audio and visual, film, even in sculpture, robotic sculpture. I mean, we can get precise to the millimeter, but having the mistakes, we can call it, the flaws, they're not really flaws. They're just an interpretation of our humanity, and that's what connects us to something beyond the flawlessness. And I think this goes in waves. The pendulum does keep swinging. Sometimes when things get, in music, when we were into that production, seduction, like the band Yes, when it's just like massive production, and then you have, you have Kurt, going, three people bands, that are just raw and distinctive, and then the pendulum will swing another way, where you have hip hop that is like overproduced, and then you have somebody like Kendrick coming along and doing something really intense.
And this week, didn't Beyonce win the best country album of the year at the Grammys this week? So there's a fusion thing if ever you ever want to think about that.
Well, in a way, yes, but in a way, no, because black culture has always been connected with cowboy culture.
Oh, no, I was following the news stories, yes. But the point being is that you wouldn't necessarily get a mainstream hip-hop artist winning the country album of the year.
Certainly not. And those are, it's the same thing. When we go to other cultures and connect, there's something great that comes out of it, whether it's culinary, whether it's visual, whether it's music or social or dance. All of these things are a celebration of the integrative aspect of culture, which is why I'm very disturbed about what's going on politically, but we won't get into that, which is the isolationist aspect of it, I think is destructive to creativity and to politics and to individuals. So I think there's a lot to learn from just being open. And, circling back to shooting through things, it's embracing what we will apply a problem or to overcome. We don't want to overcome it. We want to embrace the problem, the thing that's the barrier in our composition, something that apparently is a barrier from the lens to the subject, then becomes part of the subject. And the more we embrace that, I think that the wider our field of view is for the world.
So embrace the imperfection, add it to your photos. There are ways to do it. I think that's our message, right?
It is.
Add some dirt. Add
some dirt, yes. Add some scratches, all of that.
There you go. Don't do that to your expensive
by the way,
camera.
I have in the past thrown down a negative and stomped all out of it and scratched it and then cleaned it and printed it.
There was... let's just briefly link this to film photography, because there was a company, I'm not sure if they're still around, but they sold film that was pre-scratched or pre what did they do? They took it out in the dark, they soaked it in salt water, they dried it and put it back in the roll, so you ended up with salt crystals on your film that would add a specific unpredictable element. So add some dirt.
I have a sneaking suspicion that company is no longer.
I'm not sure. It's a while ago.
They come and they go. So there are plenty of them. That Revolog was one, wasn't it? And Double Film do some stuff that they treat the film so that it comes up slightly differently and stuff like that. Like lots and lots of creative film manufacturers.
All right.
Is there a camera design that is coming that
scratches your film while you wind it?
Yes, exactly. That overexposes.
I have a few very old cameras that might actually do that.
But that's a very interesting kind of camera design where you get very unexpected results. And I'm not talking about Holgas or those kinds of things.
I see a new Kickstarter on our horizon there.
Exactly, like lenses that are basically overheated and distorted or, scratched, just a whole level of imperfections.
So just I know we're trying to close out this part of the conversation, but that feels so wrong to me, right? In the sense that Chris has got his Holga. That's a very clean looking Holga, Chris. Has that ever been out of the house?
Yes, it has.
Mine's all
why is there no
taped
tape on it? Why is there no tape on your Holga?
This is the fans. Okay, I was just bringing this up because it is it adds some unpredictable elements, as in light leaks and so on. But this is the good Holga. This has a glass lens.
Right. No, I have two. Yeah, I have two glass lens Holgas. I don't because but going for that middle ground. But they're both got 2-inch wide black gaffer tape all over every single gap.
You want those light leaks. You want those light leaks. The dirt. That's the visual dirt.
There's a difference between enjoying a light leak and the back falling off your camera.
True.
I don't know. My holders, they are still in good shape, so it doesn't just fall off.
You've got the rare luxury Holga then, haven't you?
It's the GN model. That's the
one. You might try to put some gaffer's tape on the lens, leave it for a week, peel it off, and then shoot some stuff.
All right, gentlemen, before this completely gets out of hand, let's move on to the picks of the week. We have 3 picks for you again. And Adrian, you brought us. You put this in our. Okay. By the way, all the photos are on our photos storage, tfttf.com/tfopphotos. Link is in the show notes, and you put a video in there, and I looked through them before the show. I was like, this is not what's that? So, could you please enlighten us what this is? I'm trying to play the video.
That's another one of my.
So the video here. So this is something I found earlier this week, right? I happened to be walking around London from point A to point B earlier this week, just in the course of my weekly work. And so I thought, okay, well, I think I know the quickest way to walk between these two offices, but I'm just going to double check on Google Maps. So I looked it up on Google Maps, when you say walking, and it said it was a 20-minute walk. It wasn't very far.
And we're seeing a flyover the path.
And then, there was this little thumbnail in the corner of my phone screen, and it did a flyover, like a drone flyover of the route I had to walk. I was like, that's amazing. And it's like got all the trees in it, and the video here it hopefully has got some landmarks in it people will recognise. It's from Waterloo Station, which is on the south side of the river, but it goes past the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben, up the side of St James's
And this is in the Google Maps app.
This is Google Maps app, yes. I haven't found it on their website yet, but
you know what?
so you're flying past Big Ben just now, and then the trees on the right at St James's Park, and you're flying up towards Buckingham
How will that make
Palace.
me a better photographer?
I'm sharing it for the joy, Chris.
Okay.
I doubt being able to fly through London will make you personally a better photographer, but
I think it might help you get an idea for planning a photo walk and seeing the darker areas, the brighter ones.
Specifically for photography, so this you will notice that the light on that video is somewhat golden hour-ish, and that's because when I captured it, this is a screen recording from my phone. I did it earlier today, just before sunset or late in the day, which is not late in the day, but late for the sun in the day, and if you see just above. It has shadows, but it has golden light. Now, if you see just above the timeline graphic, the little blue horizontal line, there's a little clock. It's really small on the screen that we're sharing just now, but there's a tiny little clock face. If you touch that, you can then choose what time of day you're going to do the walk, and it changes the position of the sun, and it changes the shadows on the buildings. So here's another version of it, which I did, which is set for tomorrow morning, right? Because you scroll forward in time.
It's raining.
And it's raining, right? Because the weather forecast is that it's raining.
It simulates a window you're shooting through with light, with drops on it.
It does. And all the light on the buildings, you're seeing shadows from trees and how the light will hit the top floors of buildings, but not the bottom floors of buildings will be in shadow and things like that. It's quite astonishing.
Is this really their integration with Google Studio?
I couldn't tell you the technology, Jeremiah, or which the vast multitude of Google apps it employs to integrate all together. Because if you go to Google Studios and put in, countries and whatnot, you can do flyovers like that. I'm sure that's an integration. It's just amazing. I can tell you they haven't got the tide on the Thames yet. Because I did one that was flying along the river because I thought, well, let's do something if I can get loads of landmarks, and it didn't work out quite so well. It wasn't quite so visual, possibly because it's a narrow screen rather than a wide screen. But I noticed that the river, the tide was out, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to move this forward by 6 hours and see if the tide has come in. But it didn't. So they haven't got the tidal movement of the Thames yet, but they've got the lighting, and you can fly through golden hour or blue hour where the lights are on but the sky is blue. It's all sorts of crazy stuff you can do. And that was my pick of the. I'm sharing it just for the joy. You can tell by You
have a big smile on your face. Yeah,
I have a big smile on my face.
It only will work in cities that are 3D mapped and stuff. It doesn't work everywhere on the planet. But that's cool. That's very cool.
I'm going to try it.
All right. Let me bring one up. The two of you, are you aware of it's been around for a few years, the keyboards trend? You will have...
Do you mean for mechanical keyboards and that sort of thing? Or do you mean musical keyboards?
No, mechanical keyboards for computers.
Right,
and there's not a piano. No. And there's an entire cultural... This is a cultural phenomenon.
You mean spring-based?
Different kinds of more clicky, less clicky, spring-based, rubbery, I don't know. Different kinds of mechanics, different kinds of keycaps and different shapes of the keyboards and all sorts of weird ergonomic ones and split ones and so on. So there's an entire culture of that. Now, what does that have to do with photography? Well, there's now a keycap set that you can order that's called the Aperture Priority keycap set, and these
looks a lot like Google Maps.
These are keys. Oh, sorry, I'm
sharing the wrong screen.
I should probably share this one.
Yes, there we go.
So what these guys have done is they have created keycaps for, I suppose there's a standard kind of a fit or something with photography, Leica-inspired things on, like an enter key that now says mode and aperture priority, or a shift key that has the graphics from a exposure meter. And here's an ISO key. There's like all sorts of different keys on there that will allow you to customize your keyboard for someone who loves photography and.
But can those be
mechanical
mapped
keyboards.
to the actual function?
No, I don't think so.
They're just visual.
I don't think so. So
I think
they're just visual. They're just for fun.
right?
they're just for fun. They're just visuals. There's one extra one that you can order separately that has like a real or a haptic shutter button on it. This is. I think I think without that red special key, it's like $80, and then you can add that on top.
And then
it's
5 hours of screwing around.
And then you
with
won't be able to
keyboard.
write any letters to anybody.
And
but
you can't
that's
fit
cool.
them back on. You've ruined your keyboard. But you've got all these,
I mean, it doesn't make any
sense
in
but-
terms of it won't turn your keyboard into a camera or anything, but
It's not like the ones you get for for Pro Tools or Avid or whatever, which actually
which actually are
actually-
great, right?
which
Yeah,
actually
but-
give you the shortcut keys for everything. Yeah,
but then people hang posters of horses on their walls because they like horses. That's kind of the same thing, right?
Horses
So
for
no, I think it's
courses,
cool.
yeah.
I love it. It's cool.
it's just
don't know
a
if they
very
do a
playful
MacBook Pro
approach,
version,
and it links two very not connected things to each other. So there we go.
I'm very curious about these mechanical keyboards, but what I find strange is people who how I use the latest mechanical keyboard with my iPad Pro. It's like, okay, it's just like, great. So many YouTube videos like that. And I'm like, that's an interesting.
It's a
mashup.
cultural phenomenon, and
Yeah.
that's good enough for
Cool.
me.
Yeah.
So last
absolutely.
but not least, we have Jeremiah. You brought us vintage Soviet lenses to try. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Have some fun. If you could find these, which are increasingly more difficult to do so, but these are really, really fun, and you don't have to be precious about it. In other words, I keep my Russian lenses loose in a bag when I'm traveling. I don't wrap them up. I don't protect the glass.
They're meant to be handled roughly. Yes,
That's it. And their quality is great. I think I've always and tried to find for certain projects cinema Soviet lenses without coatings. For certain things, they just give a absolutely beautiful. I want to say softness, but it's more than that. It's just a halation, I guess.
There's all sorts of stuff, isn't it? I think I mentioned the other day a TV program that's been shown here in the UK recently called Ludwig, which is a detective series, and just the lenses it's shot on. It's just and it's shot in probably slightly broader than 2:1 ratio by the looks of it, and it's just a joy to watch it, just to revel in the lenses that they've used and the way they've lit it and stuff like that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think it's out yet here. It's been mentioned in dispatches, but not quite. I think
it's a great show. Yeah,
it's interesting looking at these brands on the screen. I realized that I do own 3 Russian lenses, but I did not buy them because they're Russian lenses. Because I bought them for different reasons, and I tracked them down used, but. I never went, I need more Russian lenses, but they just ended up being Russian lenses. So.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same. I was just looking for lenses without coatings, just start there, just basic glass, and takes you down a rabbit hole. Not expensive, or it wasn't.
Well,
now it is. Or
now
more
that we
expensive.
made them famous on this show, they will be.
But I don't think I
going up in
paid more
price.
than $25 or $30 for any lenses that I bought maybe a decade ago.
All right, gentlemen, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your cool stuff. We'll be back soon with more, and until then, you can find us at thefutureofphotography.com. You can look at the photos at tfttf.com/jointfob. We have a YouTube channel where you can watch all our episodes, and Jeremiah is now holding a glass ball to the screen. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Give us the buttons, the likes and things, and we'll be back soon. Until then, everyone, take care.
Bye-bye.
See you, folks. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Future of Photography. Join the discussion on our Discord, find the show notes and all episodes at thefutureofphotography.com, and subscribe wherever you listen to audio.